My sister and I are in our early 20s. We're middle class and live at home with our single mother, a first-generation migrant who has worked hard to support us. My sister and I have never gotten into trouble. We're in long-term relationships and have entry-level jobs in our chosen careers straight out of university. We bought our cars and paid off our university loans. Years ago, she set us down individually and told us she would divide up her assets equally between us before she passed away. A couple of weeks ago, she told me she had some other thoughts. She said that now that we're adults and have jobs in our country, we've become successful and we no longer need her help. She also wants to be remembered for generations, so she'll sell everything and use the money she receives to donate to the church to set up a memorial fund and maybe get a statue in her name. She said if she gives us her properties, we might sell them and no one would even know about her. I was floored when I heard this and didn't know what to say. She seemed excited at the idea and eager for our approval. I don't know what could have caused her change of mind. The only thing I could think of is that my mother's become increasingly involved in the church over the past 10 years. My mother's a born-again Christian, but neither my sister nor I are religious. We've never said it outright to her, but she knows, since she's always preaching to convince us. Maybe she thinks we're sinners and not going to heaven, so what's the point of leaving us with anything? Maybe it's the idea of not focusing on worldly possessions. I just feel like everything my mother has worked towards since she had us is to build us up to have a better life, and this seems like a complete 180. I'm a bit offended because it feels like she doesn't trust us, that we'll use her assets for good, as we'll just blow it all on coke and hookers. We live in a country with a huge cost of living and rental crisis, and I would be more than happy to be able to move out of one of her properties. I'm confused as to why she would rather be remembered than want to support our lives. Our father's out of the picture and has made it clear his wife will be inheriting everything, so neither of us will be inheriting anything from anyone. But I don't think our assets will be worth enough to fund anything long term. It seems like the consensus is that where your parents' money goes is their decision to make, and that trying to change their mind for your benefit is an entitled idiot thing to do. I feel like my situation is a bit different though, because we had agreed on a different plan. So am I the idiot for asking my mother to let her children inherit her properties instead of starting a memorial fund? Not the idiot. I had a relative who donated all her money to a church and was then left with nothing in her old age. What if your mother has a serious health issue needing expensive treatment or full-on care? What if she just lives a long time and needs that money to live on? If she's built a statue to herself, seriously, what the heck? Then how will she meet unexpected expenses when she's too old to work? Rather than telling her to leave her assets to you, it would be kind to recommend that she write up a goodwill to set up a trust with any remaining assets after she passes, not before. Wow, so she's paying to be remembered? Such humility, such a show of her faith. She has lost all track of what he preached. Yes, make a memorial to her. In 1 year, no one will recall her name except to say, "Who was that woman whose bust stands there?" Not a clue. Oh, she paid for a statue of herself for doing nothing important. Also, no one wants a statue of her, nor will honestly keep it. Isn't vanity not very Christian? Her obsession with being remembered and getting a statue of herself is kind of perplexing if she's a devout person. In my opinion, she's more worried about being remembered than she is about helping people. I'm going with the very mild everyone's the idiot here, because sure, your mother can leave her property to whoever she wants, but I've seen too many corrupt men of the cloth. I'd suggest you make discreet inquiries to find out if this is a regular thing. Look into it, please. Good luck. My wife Kelly has been feeling really insecure lately because her best friend is going through a messy divorce after finding out her husband was cheating. Kelly is very close to her friend and has been supporting her emotionally. This has made my wife anxious about our relationship, even though nothing has happened between us. She claims that seeing her friend's marriage falling apart makes her more insecure. We've had many conversations about this. Also, there are many conversations where she's being unfair to me about her new insecurities in our relationship. Anyway, she wanted to go to a new restaurant for her birthday. We got there, and the moment she saw our waitress, she was cold and had an attitude with the server. After she took our drinks, she accused me of flirting with the waitress. I wasn't. I told her to stop and be polite to the server. I pointed out that she was being unfair to me again, and that if she didn't act politely, I would be leaving. Our waitress came back with our drinks and asked if we wanted appetizers. My wife was giving her an attitude and glaring. She snapped and said we needed more time. At that point, I told her I would be taking a Lyft back home and that I wouldn't stay where she was being a jerk to the staff and unfair to me. I went home and she came back home a few hours later. We had a huge fight about me leaving her on her birthday. I reminded her that I warned her that I would and that her insecurities were the reason I left. She thinks I'm a huge jerk and we're not talking. So picture how it would have gone if you'd stayed. My guess, she would have kept sniping at you throughout the meal. She may have escalated her behavior with the waitress. At the end of the night, you still would have had a fight when you got home. Only instead of being about leaving her on her birthday, it would have been about you flirting with the waitress the whole night. Does that sound likely to you? If it does, recognize that your wife is putting you in a no-win scenario. There's nothing you can do to stop her from being angry at you. Imagine if you were incredibly rude and blanked the waitress the whole night. Do you think your wife would have been angry with you for that? I do. My advice, if you want it, is to be very clear with her that she needs to seek therapy over her insecurities because you will not bear the brunt of them any longer. Set boundaries for yourself and enforce them. You are not the idiot. Your wife is driving an unnecessary wedge in your relationship because her friend is in the middle of a bad divorce. She needs to get real, or you and she could be the next couple in divorce court. My wife is 7 months pregnant, and I understand that being pregnant is not easy. You're growing a whole human being inside of you, and naturally, you're gonna have to eat more. But my wife won't stop eating my food. At first, I let it slide because I was trying to be understanding, but it just didn't stop. Most times after coming back from work and looking forward to eating my only meal of the day, she'll casually start eating off my plate while I'm eating. This is after she's eaten her own meal earlier. When we eat at the same time, she basically will do a back and forth between our plates. Last night was the final straw. I had a long day at work and was very hungry. When we started eating, she reached for my plate to grab something before even touching her food first, and I pushed her hands away and told her to stop eating my freaking food, and that I'm really tired of not being able to eat my food in peace while she gets to. She started crying and told me that I could try and understand that it's because she's pregnant that she gets hungry and can't help it, instead of being an idiot about it. Edit. My wife is not usually like this and does not have an eating disorder. We eat the same food, but being pregnant obviously makes her eat more, which I understand. She's currently working part-time because of pregnancy-related issues, so we're on a very tight budget and are also preparing for the baby. Hence, we only eat one meal a day, so we stretch our food. But I get less and she gets a bit more than me, so she usually eats hers at 2 intervals during the day, and I only eat mine at dinner. It's not a simple case of buying more food and snacks or cooking bigger portions. If we could, we would. I don't like any of this, especially for her, and it breaks my heart and makes me feel like a horrible husband. My wife is my whole world, and I would have loved for her to have a normal pregnancy, eating whatever she wants to her heart's content, and feeding her cravings. But right now we can't. This isn't ideal and not permanent, but we are doing the best we can with the pregnancy that we didn't plan for. Her contraception failed, and it threw us off. But we're both excited and nervous about the baby and are taking all of this in stride. Way to bury the lead. You're the idiot. She needs more than 1 meal per day. Full stop. If you cannot afford food, your wife must apply for WIC and SNAP. WIC provides food for pregnant women and children up to age 4. You also need to be looking at the local food pantries and not letting your wife starve. Also, Medicaid. For God's sake, get on Medicaid. OP's story felt like reading the grapes of wrath. Again. Jesus. Then they focus on the wrong thing entirely, like, I yelled at my wife for changing the radio station in the car. Am I the idiot? Edit. The car had no brakes. We were going 145 miles per hour and lined up to fling ourselves off a cliff. The sky turned purple. Demons rushed in through a portal. But that radio, that's the big problem in my relationship right now. I cannot fathom what OP is eating if they can only afford 1 meal a day. I've been so poor I had literally nothing but pancake mix and rice, and I still ate more than once a day. How is this even possible? Are they door dashing food or something? It'd be literally like 3 cents just to make more rice per meal or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Even if your meals suck, you can at least make them stretch with rice, pasta, and potatoes. OP, how are you going to afford a baby if you can only afford 1 meal per day? Of course she's hungry for 1 meal a day. You are the idiot, and yes, what she's doing is rude, but I can imagine she's freaking ravenous. I've been pregnant 3 times. If she's planning on breastfeeding, the hunger is even worse when you start that. She needs more food. I'm a single mom with a preschool daughter, Anna. Anna and I live with my mom. We both work and Anna goes to daycare full time. Daycare would be about half my income, so I get a subsidy that covers $1,400 out of her $2,000 tuition. The only condition of the subsidy is that she actually has to show up. If she misses too many days, I lose the subsidy. I go to work at 7:30 and daycare opens at 8, so my mom would be the one to take Anna to daycare. Anna's main teacher is a 21-year-old female. When I talk to her, she's always very animated and energetic. She's great with the kids. Anna always comes home saying the teacher brought stickers, she brought juice, she brought bubbles, did face painting, etc. And she always has fun crafts that she did with her teacher. This teacher's her favorite person in the world right now, and Anna often runs away from my mom to jump on this teacher in the mornings and hides when my mom picks her up because she doesn't want to leave this teacher. My mom started to get jealous that Anna liked the teacher better than her, so she started keeping her home from daycare on her days off when she only had 1 or 2 easy clients. She cleans houses. I found out Anna missed 5 days over the past 3 weeks. I asked my mom about it, and she told me she wanted Anna to spend more time with her family than with her teachers. I told my mom Anna needed to be in daycare unless she was sick, or I would lose the subsidy. She was arguing that if Anna needs to be in daycare, she should be in one with more family values and not some rich white girl trying to save the poor kids. The teacher is a girl from a well-off family marrying into a well-off family, and the daycare isn't in the most well-off neighborhood. She has bins full of clothes for the kids, gives everyone a water bottle with their name on it, has a much nicer classroom than the other teachers, and drives a car worth more than my mom and I combined could make in a year. She's setting up a field trip to the local airport so her fiance can talk to the kids about flying planes and so they can look at his jet. I told her I wouldn't. This is the best daycare that takes this subsidy, and I won't be removing her just because she's jealous. She insisted that Anna be with her family or be in a more family-based daycare, so I got her a babysitter. I drop her off at my neighbor's at 7:30 when I leave for work, and she drops Anna off at 8:15 on her way to take the kids to school. She only charges me $10 a day. I don't love the breakfast that she gives Anna, but I know she's going to daycare, and I won't lose the subsidy. Now my mom is angry that I'm keeping Anna away from her. Am I the idiot for sending Anna to a babysitter in the mornings because my mom wasn't taking Anna to daycare? Not the idiot. You sound like a responsible parent, and you did a good job solving a problem here. Congrats on getting your daughter a slot in an excellent daycare or preschool and doing what you must to keep the subsidy that pays for it. Your mom is being totally unreasonable, and it sounds like you already know that. Would she be interfering with your daughter's education and keeping her home from school randomly if she was in 3rd grade? What about 11th grade? Sigh. Look, your mom's arguments are completely irrelevant. If she had a problem with the daycare, she should have brought all of this up before making unilateral decisions that would affect your financial independence. She isn't actually concerned. She was justifying overstepping your boundaries. Your mother's too egotistical. She cares more for her own feelings than the needs of yours and your daughter. It sounds like jealousy over the wealth being flaunted. And I kind of get it. The teacher sounds like she has nothing but the best intentions, but by trying to give the kid the world, she's kind of flaunting her wealth. It doesn't take much to make people feel inadequate as providers when someone else can give their grandkids stuff they could never have dreamed of. But the mom definitely isn't channeling it in a healthy direction. Let me be clear. This is not a problem between me and my wife. She doesn't know anything about it. This is a problem between me and her family, who discovered it through her sister. I know the cheater's in the wrong most of the time, but let me explain my situation. My wife was diagnosed with depression in her early teens and has seen healthcare professionals for it ever since then. She had several good years, which was when we met and eventually got married. We had a couple of good marriage years. Then, in the third year, she became severely depressed to the point her psychologist referred her to a psychiatrist. After trying several medications, they finally agreed on one that was best for her. Through all of this, our love life lessened to the point it's non-existent now. I don't just mean intimacy, but we don't touch at all. No hugging, hand-holding, nothing. Whenever I try, she'll pull away or leave the room. Once in a long while, she'll come up and hug me, but there's nothing behind the closeness. It's hard to describe and you have to be in my shoes, but it feels like someone holding on to a tree so the storm doesn't blow them away, more than affectionate touching. Anyway, I met this lady who's perfect for me right now. She's concentrating on her career, which requires her to travel often. She doesn't want a family right now, and most men can't handle her schedule. She knows my situation, so I'm perfect for her too. We're more than hookups and less than boyfriend and girlfriend. When we're together, we're very tender with each other and go out to all of the places and do all the things that couples will go and do. Then when she's busy, we'll go weeks without contact without any problems. We drive to a different city to do these things to avoid being seen. It was during one of our dates that a friend of my wife's sister took a pic and sent it to the sister. She confronted me about it and we had a huge argument. She told her family, and now it's a war between all of us. They want me to stop and dedicate myself to my wife, but I can't live without the closeness. I'm in my late 30s and can't see living the rest of my life without feeling another person. You are the idiot. You should have divorced your wife rather than betrayed her. Such a selfish idiot move. Can't handle your marriage? Then end it. You think you have good justification, but there simply isn't one for cheating. Period. But wait. This isn't actually about a problem between him and his wife. She's just a downer. Her silly clinical depression and stuff, ugh. So inconvenient. OP, you're such a coward to leave your miserable marriage. You are the idiot. If you don't want to be with her, then you should seek a divorce instead of cheating on her when she's vulnerable. Your wedding vows state, in sickness and in health, and you've not stood by those at all. You've acted like a love-struck, lustful child, and she deserves much better than that. Grow up and make a decision.